Hey everyone, thanks for joining our webinar today. Just going to get started in just a minute as we have some more people logging on, I see. Today we're going to be talking about preparing for what's next in ITSM, a smarter path from on-prem to the cloud. And this webinar, probably 4 or 5 years late, but we still have a large customer base utilizing on-prem ITSM solutions. And we thought, let's get a webinar discussion going with some of our panelists here that I'm going to introduce, Bobby McCullough and Brian Graham. Combined, Brian and Bobby have over 40 years experience in various IT consulting roles. Bobby, I know you've worked in IT operations management, service management, asset management roles in different areas, different sectors like healthcare, financial institutions, and a lot of government consulting as well. Welcome to the call today, Bobby.
Thank you, David. Glad to be here.
Yeah, good to have you and your counterpart, Brian Graham. Brian, I know you've worked for large retail organizations over 10 years in various roles with project management, different technical advising roles, as well as a cloud infrastructure team, which is very important for this call today. So I also welcome you on the call today too.
Yeah, thanks, David.
All right, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the discussion, just want to introduce anybody who's new to Flycast or to Freshworks as well, our software partner and vendor. Flycast Partners, we've been around since 2011. We have over 1,800 customers. We've done over 6,800 service engagements, helping companies evaluate and implement IT service management solutions. And the largest focus we've had over the past 3 years has been with our vendor Freshworks. In addition to being experts in Freshworks, we also provide enterprise service management consulting and organization change management best practices and consulting as well for our clients. We're getting into the benefits of moving your IT ticketing solution to the cloud. No surprise, everyone here knows there's no more hardware to manage for your solution. And most of the organizations on the call, you've probably moved to some type of SaaS solution in different areas of the organization, reducing the amount of hardware or data center size that you currently have. There's also a big advantage with SaaS solutions. They have built-in maintenance. A lot of the customers on the call today, you're either paying annual maintenance for your on-prem solution, or there might be a scenario where you're not supported, which does have some security risks. And finally, with SaaS solutions, seamless upgrades, which in the ITSM world is very important because new features, especially with automation and AI, are coming out. These are upgrades you don't have to plan and do and perform typically, as well as all the security patches that come out.
Yeah, David, let me jump in on this. These are all great benefits, but really, what does this benefit mean? And the question is, who's missed a soccer game or a softball, baseball game because they had to head into the office because an upgrade or a patch didn't work, or there was some hardware that was down or something like that? This has got real world implications. It frees up technicians for more strategic activities and makes your personal life more comfortable because you're not having to worry about these things when you're away from the office.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that Sunday at midnight notification that your SaaS software has an update or patch coming out, and as the administrator, you just need to be aware that it's happening, right? It doesn't fall on you anymore. It falls on the software vendor, really.
Exactly.
But as these applications come out, most of these software solutions have been built for the cloud. So when these patches come out, much faster, easier to deploy solutions. And now when we get to security, I'm sure a lot of organizations here have security members in IT, keeping up to date with everything in compliance. The less hardware you have to manage, the less time you have to spend securing those devices. Leave it up to the software provider. Leave it up to the software vendor providing the SaaS solution. Everyone here might have really great security policies. I guarantee you the largest SaaS providers like Salesforce, ServiceNow, Freshworks, all of them are putting heavy investments into the security of their solutions and data centers that they're being utilized, leveraging sometimes AWS or Azure. That is because these software vendors have some of the largest customers in the world using their software. You know they're going to have a high security standard in there. And finally, these SaaS solutions, that's where all the investment's going for the latest and greatest features, functionality, automation, AI pieces. So you and your organization really need to stay in a competitive market against your competitors, right? There's operational efficiencies that you will gain from these solutions versus the outdated legacy solutions you're likely still using today.
Yeah, David, I just, as you mentioned security, I think it might be important to kind of quickly highlight just how much a solution like Freshservice has achieved in the way of compliance and security certifications. I'm going to steal your screen for a second just to show our audience what they have available on their trust center. When you look at a solution like Freshservice, I think a lot of the big kind of certifications you think of these major cloud solutions as far as ITSM go, they're all here. And then even things like understanding their posture from a data security perspective or data privacy perspective, those are questions that we often hear in the sales cycle. So understanding and being able to have customers or prospects request this documentation straight from the trust side, I think helps put a lot of those security concerns at ease, and the CISOs and the cybersec teams can come here and review all of that information at hand. And then I think this might be also a good point to transition over to showing some of that latest and greatest, like both of you, David and Bobby, mentioned earlier. Like, what do you get, right? What does moving to this kind of cloud-based solution offer you? I've got the end user perspective pulled up here in the portal. Just to kind of show you a few tips and tricks of how once you get your data here, your knowledge base is set up, or your service catalog is set up, incorporating elements like AI that we're seeing arrive in a lot of the products in this space. I just want to give you a quick sample, quick demo of how that can impact the end user experience. And so if I'm logged in here to the portal, and this is Michelle, she's kind of our employee that's here on the portal today. If I wanted to say she's having an issue, let's say around VPN, and her interaction with Freddy AI agent here is available on the portal as well as the knowledge base. But she could start here. She could say, hey, my connection is dropping every 30 seconds. How do I fix that? And easily enter into a multi-turn conversational chat experience with the AI agent. And instead of dumping an entire knowledge article on her, it neatly looks at the context of what she's said and then finds the most relevant knowledge content that she has access to and parses it and delivers the meat or the most impactful information from that, right? If she wanted to pivot out of this, maybe she tries all of that, she wants to jump into submitting a ticket, she can. She can also go and check out those sources if she wants to. Maybe separately, she's feeling inclined enough to try these steps, and she's not having a lot of success, and so she follows up with, hey, thanks, but none of that's really working for me. Again, Freddie gets this context, especially up against what it's already suggested to Michelle, and it can handle that by either doing more troubleshooting steps or pivoting her into a request for access, whatever is most applicable. And she can just say something like, see the steps, and we can get continued troubleshooting in that case. And then oppositely, maybe she's busy and she just wants to pivot out of this altogether and just kind of get the ticket over to the right team in IT. She can easily create that ticket. And what's nice about a solution like Freshservice, it's already done the work of summarizing that entire interaction, what she said, what she tried, and where she's at so far in that troubleshooting journey, so that she isn't inconvenienced and the IT team has all of the relevant context. So just a quick example there around what you're getting in the way of AI for as it relates to the end user persona. And I think Bobby, you have something queued up to show us for like how AI can help the agent perspective, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the first probably point here is that technicians and agents really aren't hired for their typing skills, right? uh, they're hired for their technician skills, but the first thing they have to do whenever they manage a ticket is going to be type. And so we can utilize the AI to make that a little go a little faster or a little smoother. And so I always could send an email to that customer and grab knowledge information and pull that into the email. Uh, but if I pull that URL in, that's a little impersonal, right? I have the ability to use the AI that where it looks at my knowledge base, but because I'm an agent, it also is going to look at my resolution notes, and it's going to craft that troubleshooting information in a nice readable format. A very quick, big time saver for your agents, and it's very user friendly for your customer base. But this is also where you may just want to type a quick message, and you may want to say something like, "Did it work?" Right? The very basics of what you're trying to convey. But that's very poor business language, no capitalization, no punctuation. But it did save me time. Well, now I can come down here to my refine button and I can expand that. And now we've turned that "did it work" into something that's more shareable and usable in the environment. Again, it's just a big time saver because the agents typing this, thinking this out, and then actually typing that so that it looks that way, that takes quite a bit of time. And using the AI, you have the ability to save that time, allowing it to do that. Now, not only can it expand that text, but it can also rephrase that text if we just want to see it in a different format. You've also got the ability to enhance the tone. This is where I could make it more professional or more casual or friendly. We'll make it more friendly real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll make it more professional. But just a big help, time saver wise. Now, the AI also has another benefit of alerting an agent when there might be similar tickets in the environment. Now, this is going to help you in two different ways. One is this might alert you that you may have an outage going on, right? It's found all these similar tickets, so you can select them, add them as a child. Maybe you go ahead and bump that up to a problem or reassign it. But rather than someone running a report and recognizing, hey, we've got a bunch of these tickets or something like that, the AI is just bringing to your attention what needs your attention. Hey, technician, you may have you may have an outage going on out here in your environment. But we've also got some help for the new guy. So you've got a new employee, they're working on a ticket. Surely this is something that we've resolved in the past. They're going to be able to go to the resolved selection and see any of those similar resolved tickets. When they select the ticket, it's going to show them our resolution note and our conversation history. So now I've got some help on resolving this ticket based on how this type of issue was resolved in the past. Again, the AI, most customers that are in an on-prem situation aren't really going to have access to that. And moving to an on-prem situation with the AI assistance, big time saver for your agents. And as Brian showed, very user-friendly for your customers.
Great. Thank you, Bobby, for kind of those examples. And I guarantee you the legacy on-premise solutions out there are not going to have these types of features, functionality, automation, and what I like to call practical, useful AI. We did a webinar before where there's a lot of AI features out there being sold as the latest and greatest. The reality is, where can AI actually help you today, and where can you depend on it to help? And then those are some great examples there.
Absolutely. And ITSM really hasn't changed a lot, in the last 10 to 20 years until recently we've been talking for ages about the ability to do this, recognize that there may be an outage going on. But now with the explosion of AI, this has finally actually come to ITSM.
So I'd like to pivot a little bit back off the product and some of the examples and go back to the presentation and talk to our audience a little bit about, what tips do we have to begin your ITSM evaluation. Uh, we start with, okay, it's time to conduct and look at multiple solutions. Now, sometimes you may work with a vendor who has the on-premise solution and they say, well, here's a cloud version. Um, that can work in times, but most of the clients we work with say, well, we're not just upgrading, we need to look at what else is out in the market. Let's look at what might be the right fit for us, because what we purchased and acquired 10, 15 years ago doesn't exactly apply to what we want to do today, tomorrow, and in the future. So you do want to start to embrace new processes and capabilities, right? There's a big difference between, setting up your home theater to play records versus stream live music, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah. And the embracing new processes and capabilities, that's the AI, right? Big time saver and hugely beneficial and useful for your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was some great examples you and Brian were able to show there, Bobby. Another tip is with IT service management, it pairs with IT asset management. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to have a solution that has it together from day one. But as you approach replacing your service management solution, be sure to at least include what is your asset management strategy. How are they going to pair together?
Yeah, that's important, David, because there's different levels of ITAM maturity. Do we need just our server environment, our cloud environment in our system so that we can manage it? Do we need our desktops and laptops in there? Uh, what items, what devices, CIs do we need to be managing through the system? Which, in the best practice, it's all of them. But that's not necessarily workable for every organization. So it's a matter of determining where you are in that ITAM maturity and where you want to be. Do we just discover the servers, or are we going to go all the way to application dependency mapping, where we understand the relationship between the different systems that you might be managing? Very important.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And we have clients at all of those different levels, and happy to have those discussions with anybody on the call today, if you'd like to follow up. The next point here is a topic we discuss with every one of our clients that we're helping move from one solution to the next, whether that's moving from on-prem to SaaS or moving from one SaaS solution to another. And that's trying to find ways to make sure you're minimizing costly data migrations, because those can add up, especially from a legacy solution that has a totally different data structure than probably what you're moving to today. We really like to guide clients. I know, Brian, you've spoken to a lot of our customers who have different takes and have different requirements on what data they need to move over.
Yeah, it's for a lot of our customers, and sometimes we see that it's industry specific. They come to us expecting to have this major undertaking in terms of data migration, and we just, at Flycast, we take a consultative approach to that and really work to try and find the most cost-effective and efficient way to get the right data over. And so sometimes that can mean simply leaving an on-prem solution kind of sectioned off and really kind of almost quarantined in a way where it's just read only, and you can still retain the infrastructure that it runs on, and then not have to lift and shift, so to speak, all of these tickets, these 2 to 3 years, and thousands of images and attachments on these tickets, over to a new solution in the cloud. Sometimes that's just the best approach. And so rest assured, I guess, if you're going to if you think data migration is part of what you need to achieve, we've helped, like David said, a number of customers pick the right method to get the right data over to a solution like Freshservice.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. The last piece we have here is, take action now, right? There's most of the organizations here, you're probably still using that solution that you have today because you had a large capital investment on it, and it's worked hopefully well for you up until this point. But it's like some of the features we saw Bobby and Brian show, that's what other organizations are doing today that are creating efficiencies, a better customer experience, and helping their employees and customers be more effective and efficient. And that's one of the major reasons 5 years ago we started partnering with Freshworks. The Freshworks solution, Freshservice specifically by the Freshworks, the company, that solution was built in the cloud. That has a ease of administration. And ease of administration doesn't mean low maturity. There's a lot of flexibility, capabilities, and cutting edge features put into the solution for organizations looking to follow ITIL best practices. You're going to have a lot of alignment and governance there as well. And Freshworks is coming out with frequent releases, continuous product innovation, updates. They now have a large customer base that has a great community. There's different focus groups that will hold across the country over the past few years, where we get customers together regionally into different pockets, and especially in metro areas. The other part is the marketplace for Freshworks is very expansive, and there's a lot of API flexibility in there as well. Bobby, Brian, I know you both have probably had lots of discussions with clients about how do we tie in these solutions to other critical business applications out there in the market.
Absolutely, David. And having a modern system that has an accessible API is all the difference. It means that if you're able to initiate a ticket from another tool, you're able to bring in additional functionality like remote control and things like that. Lots of functionality you're able to add to the tool that is just missing if you have an on-premise tool without an API.
Absolutely. And one of the greatest pieces of how we at Flycast select the software vendors we represent is we look for solutions that have that lower total cost of ownership, right? Ease of administration, ease of implementation, but not at sacrificing functionality, features, capabilities, automation that also provide the best return on investment for our clients. And that's a big piece of, at Flycast, what we do is we help our clients evaluate multiple solutions in the marketplace. Freshservice is one we very much believe in, and 9 times out of 10 is really the fit for large organizations as well as growing medium-sized organizations as well. At Flycast, we're also going to help organizations align if you want to follow ITSM best practices or ITIL. We can also do those custom integrations. We have a team here that's done it. As Bobby and Brian mentioned, they speak to a lot of clients about the different integrations that we do. And we also provide ITIL training. So for organizations who are saying, well, David, you keep talking about ITIL, not too familiar with, are we doing it correctly? Where does that align to our company? And it's not a, all or nothing with ITIL. ITIL has these best practices that you can be aware of, you can get your organization to buy in at. So for anybody on the call who is looking to just have a casual discussion with us, we can provide a lot more insight than what we did on the call today. And anybody who wanted to see more about the Freshservice solution, Bobby, Brian, I have your commitment. You guys are ready to to dig into the weeds on any private demonstrations, right?
100%. Absolutely.
Ready to go.
Perfect. So yeah, for those who don't know us, you can go to our website, flycastpartners.com. There's several different forms you all can fill out to request information, or you can email us. We also have a YouTube site that will direct everybody to where we do other videos, webinars on best practices, solutions on the marketplace, and we're here to help everybody in their guide to moving to a new, more modern solution. So I thank everybody that's come on today. Bobby, Brian, any last minute comments or words of wisdom for the group today? We'll start with you, Bobby.
The time to move is now. You know, you said that earlier. Your competition is already moving into the new features and functions that are available with SaaS solutions. And so the time for you to do it is now as well.
Yeah. And David, I'd like to add just, a lot of the legacy solutions tend to slow down the developmental efforts around those products. And I feel like customers end up paying, they're almost just locked into a product that isn't really giving them any of that additional functionality that you are seeing in more of the SaaS side of things. And so platforms like Freshservice, you receive updates monthly, and it really helps to kind of further, scream the value of moving to a SaaS solution where that kind of frequency and updates and additions to the product is going to be much more rapid, much more often than you are usually experiencing on the on-prem side.
You're absolutely right, Brian. So what you're telling me is all the new music that comes out isn't coming out on cassette tapes anymore.
Sadly, no, it's not.
Well, we can do a lot more music analogies later on other calls. I thank you both for chiming in, giving some expertise and some examples to the audience here. For anybody that's signed up, if you have questions, we will be sending out a survey. We'd love to hear what topics you all are interested in for future webinars. So I guess I get to wrap it up and say thank you to our audience for logging in today, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, David, for having us.
Thanks, David.